So I was not planning on addressing this drama at all because I thought it ultimately meant nothing and it was just a petty squabble that took place on Discord. However, despite the fact that we have mostly remained silent on this entire discourse, it has since gotten worse and has now been brought to YouTube. None of us wanted drama to stir up, especially because some of the people that we initially had drama with had been reached out to, and we ended things off on a really good note. All of these people decided that the drama did not need to escalate any further, except for one guy, a guy that turned out to be a fake person all along. The person that I'm talking about, of course, is Mythical, who you might have seen on the channel for a little while in one of my videos and some of my livestream chats. To give context as to who he is, Mythical is primarily a shorts YouTuber who makes the occasional long video, and is the founder of a group of online creators known as Gang. The first time I came across Mythical was when I found a community post from Sean the Legend. It was in reply to a post from Mythical saying that he had some dirt on him, and denying the claims that Sean made that he was suicide baiting. I decided to comment under Mythical's post with, "You too, huh?" It was at this point that me and Mythical shared a common enemy, so later on, I decided to reach out to him. I joined his Discord server and we had some nice chats, and for the most part, we got along pretty well. Then the drama with Kumo happened. During that drama, Mythical actually defended me. Kumo at one point accused me and Psycho of committing a panic response, because after the debate me and Kumo had, Psycho decided to stream it and respond to it. This is when I unearthed the fact that Kumo was planning on false flagging me. And I got this information through Mythical, because Mythical at the time was the one defending me. At this point, because we shared a common enemy with Sean and he was defending me from Kumo, combined with the fact that we started hanging out more often, that's when I considered Mythical to be a friend of mine. After that drama settled, that's when we started developing the Downfall of Sean the Legend video, where the whole point of it was to create a follow-up about Sean based on newer events that happened, and also to just kind of take the piss out of him, I guess, because I considered Sean the Legend to be my lolcow. Mythical was a part of this video, as he had his own dedicated section, so during this entire time frame, I considered Mythical to be a friend. Little did I know that involving him in my community in the first place was one of the biggest mistakes I've made. Cut to a few months later, me and my friends were playing Lethal Company together in my private server dedicated to hanging out with friends. Mythical was in that server, and he also wanted to play with us. I had another friend that wanted to play with us named Big Country, and for the most part, all of us were having a good time. Until things went to shit. At one point, Mythical and Big Country got into a huge fight in VC. The fight went on for almost a half hour, and it devolved in such a short time into a screaming match. At first, we thought it was funny, until we realized that it had no signs of ending. When we realized that they weren't going to stop, that's when they both got server muted for a bit of time. After Mythical was able to speak again, that's when he wanted to announce that he wanted to leave the server. And so, after he publicly announced his departure, that's when he left. This should have been my first red flag on him. If Mythical ever tries to deny the fact that the fight happened in the first place, by the way, we have several witnesses in the private server that can testify, because they were also playing the game with us. For a bit more context, Mythical was the one that started the fight. He was angry at Big Country over a mishap, and then they both proceeded to start killing each other in Lethal Company. The fact that Mythical got this butthurt and angry over Lethal Company to the point he started a fight that lasted for almost a half hour speaks volumes of his character. But it doesn't end there. At one point, Mythical actually wanted to rejoin the server. I allowed it, and we started hanging out again. Now, for the most part, this is where most of the drama is centered on, because this part of the timeline is why it has been brought to YouTube in the first place, and honestly, it did not need to go down this route. So, what happened? Why did Mythical start beefing with us on Twitter and YouTube? Because he started another fight. So a server member of mine named The Focus made this light jab towards Mythical, saying something along the lines of, "Can we bully this man out of the server again?" Now, Mythical could have handled this in a multitude of ways. He could have replied back with another petty jab, or he could have just ignored it entirely. Instead, what he decides to do is hit The Focus with this. "That's some pedophile type shit, bro." Now, because Mythical decided to respond like this in the most childish way possible, it caused the server to stir up a bit. One of my closest friends online named Demonic Athen got involved and started shitposting towards Mythical. Then Mythical proceeded to accuse Athen of things like zoophilia and pedophilia as well. It very quickly started to devolve, as a lot more server members got involved because nobody liked how Mythical was acting. I should also bring up something that happened before all of this. A month before this happened, Mythical wanted me to invite his friend to the private server named LT Beast. Immediately when LT Beast joined, Mythical and him both targeted a random server member of mine and called them a pedophile, for no reason. Unfortunately, we don't have the messages that LT Beast sent because LT Beast was very shortly banned after he joined the server and harassed someone. However, we do know that Mythical was the one that initiated it. Sergi was the random server member that they attacked, and since Sergi doesn't know Mythical that well and is completely unaware that this is just Mythical's sense of humor, he was responding with fear and paranoia, and he even went as far as to threaten to cut himself at one point. I want you all to keep this in mind for later on because it's very important, but it speaks volumes on Mythical's character when he randomly accuses a person of pedophilia, is told to stop numerous times, and yet he doesn't. That's also when me and Psycho had conversations with Mythical regarding the situation, to which Mythical's main takeaway was that if LT Beast got banned, so should he. He also made the excuse that at one point Sergi was playing into it, but 1, he was not at first. As stated earlier, he was having a breakdown over it. And 2, he played along with it at one point because he thought that it would shut Mythical down. I then wanted to give Mythical the bottom line, that him and LTVs need to respect people's boundaries by not calling random people pedophiles all willy-nilly, because if someone is unfamiliar with you and your friends, they're not going to know that what you did was just a silly bit. His response after I dropped the bottom line was, "In my defense, he called me a bitch. Fight fire with fire." So right off the bat, we have someone that is completely unreasonable when it comes to dealing with drama, will call people pedophiles for no reason other than it's funny, and most importantly, they're a coward, which I will highlight right now by circling back to when the server started dogpiling on him. So Mythical decided to do it again with the focus, as well as calling my friend Demonic Athen a pedophile and zoophile. It was at this moment that the server started to attack him because nobody liked the way he was acting. People in my community take pedophile accusations very seriously, especially because they don't know Mythical that well. Yes, we will make the occasional pedophile joke, but if your sense of humor is purely based on that, that's when we take issue. Especially because not only does Mythical never present it as a joke, he doubles, triples, and quadruples down on it. And this is after people tried to give him a reality check. As for other examples of Mythical taking things too far, he has referred to Poisonous Arrow as a rapist, he was being transphobic towards Athen, and he tried using Sergi's mental breakdown against him when him and LT Beast were harassing him and calling him a pedophile. That last one is especially important to highlight because Mythical has also been a target of accusations of suicide baiting during his discourse with Sean the Legend. How somebody can use a suicidal breakdown against them while simultaneously falling under suicide bait accusations is beyond me. Now to highlight how Mythical's a coward, he pinged both me and Psychonautic Therapy to help him. To put it quite bluntly, neither of us took him seriously because of how he handled everything, so we retaliated as well. As soon as we tried reasoning with Mythical and told him that what he was doing was wrong, he then announced his departure from the server. Again. He also DM'd me about the server attacking him, which I pretty much left him on red because I thought he was being childish. Mythical has also DM'd Psycho about the attacks, to which Psycho's advice was to either ignore it and block the people involved, or to leave the server entirely. Mythical's DMs with Psycho are also important for later on, so keep that in mind. There was also a third person that Mythical did reach out to during this discourse. However, the third person involved wishes to remain anonymous because they wish to not be involved in the ongoing discourse. A lot of the conversation could not be shown because a lot of it pertains to personal things that the anonymous individual does not want to be revealed, but this is what they were able to show me. The first screenshot is him pointing out how everything started, which the fact he even admits to how it started in the first place and still thinks he's in the right is ridiculous. He also claims that the people involved knew he was uncomfortable, when in reality, he ignited a fight in the server and faced the consequences for it. Using the Focus's first message towards you as the catalyst of how everything started is downright stupid, because this is a message that Mythical could have just easily ignored or have just said something completely different other than a pedophile joke. Furthermore, it's funny how he complains about being uncomfortable when people made jokes about him, but when he makes jokes about random people in my server being pedophiles, that's apparently okay. The second screenshot is him acknowledging that both sides could be in the wrong and that he hates the fact he's the one being outed as the bad guy. This screenshot in particular is also incredibly important, so keep this in mind as well. Now this is where we cut to very recent events that have taken place for the past week or so, and this is the main catalyst on why Mythical decided to make this dumb little Discord drama public. Recently, there was a troll account made on Twitter that was created under my name. The troll account in question is also conveniently followed by Yugang and a few different accounts made by LTBeast. Here's the thing about the troll account. Some of the tweets are actually pretty funny, and if that's all the troll account was made for, I would have been completely fine with it. However, the troll account has also made incredibly horrible tweets about me, such as slandering me as a lolicon using fabricated screenshots, bringing up personal events that I would have much rather have kept private, and 2 entire threads that slander Psycho as a groomer. Because of this malicious nature of the troll account, Psycho reached out to Mythical to try and get the account taken down. Mythical tells him that he's not behind the account. Psycho gives him the benefit of the doubt that it's not him, then asks him to see if anybody in his friend group was behind it, and ask them to take it down. Later on, Mythical would just outright refuse to help either of us out, as by the time Psycho asked again, the account was slandering him as a groomer. Mythical refusing to help us out over the fake account is downright hypocritical. Mythical felt the need, on multiple occasions, to come to us in DMs and request for help when he's getting harassed, but when we're getting harassed, he refuses to help. That's hypocrisy. He will only ask for help if it benefits him, but he won't help if it benefits anyone else outside of his friend group. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know who's behind the account. I don't care who owns the account, and I don't care about the account in general. If you and Nia want to be YouTubers, then stop caring about stupid shit like this, because it's gonna happen a lot more if you two want to be YouTubers. Nobody actually thinks it's Nia, so it's not a big issue. Just report it, block it, or ignore it. It's not that hard. Stop getting involved with this gay shit, because I don't give any fucks about it at all. Yeah, telling Psycho to suck it up when being met with a thread calling him a groomer twice is such great advice, coming from the guy that whined in both of our DMs over less, and the same guy that has voiced pure discontent when facing his own allegations. Mythical also completely misses the point here. Whoever is behind the account is completely irrelevant. What matters is that Yugang have given this account a platform. An account that slanders both me and Psycho, brings up personal things in my life, and fabricates entire screenshots should not exist in the first place. After Mythical refused to help Psycho, Psycho decided to unfriend him, because frankly, telling someone to suck it up over a Twitter thread about him supposedly being a groomer is a bit unreasonable. Turns out that Mythical did not take too kindly to that, and people in Mythical's server started to harass him over it, accusing him of blocking Mythical when he just unfriended him, to which Psycho then decided to block them and leave the server. A thing that happens afterwards is a great example that I can give of Yugang giving the troll account a platform. Wailing Gecko DM'd Psycho out of nowhere with the following messages. Sup, so you touch kids? Listen man, not a lot of evidence in that thread right now. The fact you never really denied it in the server is very weird. So you got anything for your defense? You're in some deep shit right now. Definitive proof that these people are giving the troll account a platform and are using it against us. After Wailing Gecko instigated Psycho in his DMs, Psycho was added in a group chat shortly afterwards with Mythical, Gecko, and LTBeast in it. And you all know exactly what this group chat was going to be for. To harass Psycho. So all of this should be proof enough that Mythical is dishonest, cowardly, manipulative, and a massive hypocrite. But if that's not enough for you, there's more where that came from. Things got a bit worse when Mythical decided to make a public thread on Twitter, pinging both me and Psycho on there. The thread reads as follows. Thread exposing at Real Netherless and at Psychonautic Therapy. It's disgusting that Psychonautic Therapy really wants to downplay sexual harassment. If someone makes sexual comments to someone and gets asked to stop multiple times, that's sexual harassment. It's also funny how he is using messages of me trolling and talking shit back as a point against me when his own boyfriend and other server members legit use the N-word and the same comments. Hypocrites. Also, if you know me, I don't mean half of the things I say. These people also tried to villainize me for feeling uncomfortable with the sexual comments being made about me because all they care about is protecting their echo chamber. Actual disgusting behavior. Now that this video exists, here's my response to his entire thread, because frankly, it's completely full of bullshit. First of all, Mythical's definition of sexual harassment is incredibly skewed. Sexual harassment is when someone makes unwelcome sexual remarks, like unwanted sexual advancements, requests of sexual favors, and other kinds of verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Most of the quote-unquote sexual harassment that Mythical is referring to is in regards to my friend, Demonic Athen. So let's see what Athen did to Mythical that he considers sexual harassment. Athen has referred to Mythical as Pookie, not sexual harassment. Athen referred to him as Booby Bear, not sexual harassment. The slightest bit of an argument that Mythical has that could be seen as sexual harassment is when Athen told Mythical that she would do that. Now, even if you wanted to be charitable towards Mythical and you would back him up in saying that this is sexual harassment, here's the problem. You would have to call out Mythical for conducting an incredibly similar behavior. As I established earlier, Mythical calls random people pedophiles like he's giving out candy. He referred to Poisonous Arrow multiple times as a rapist, as well as a child predator. He has also accused Athen of zoophilia and pedophilia combined with the fact he was acting transphobic towards her. And he even further elaborated that he was never trying to be funny when it came to the remarks he made against these people. If you are going to claim that what Mythical went through was sexual harassment, you would also have to go as far as to say that what Mythical did was slander. It ultimately doesn't matter if he's just joking or if he doesn't mean anything he says, because nobody knows in the server that this is his sense of humor, and because these people did not know anything about Mythical, they took what he said seriously and fought back. Plus, even when you want to argue that what he did was a joke, the things that Athen said were also a joke. If Mythical genuinely felt uncomfortable from the jokes that Athen made, then he clearly lacks the self-awareness to realize that calling random people pedophiles for no reason also makes them uncomfortable. Hence, Sergei from earlier, who threatened to cut himself because of Mythical and LT Beast harassing him. It's also quite funny how Mythical thinks that we are condemning him for any sort of racism, when that is very clearly not the case. Neither of us cared that you were using any sort of slurs. What we are calling you out for is your insane levels of immaturity and insensitive humor. The bottom line is, you called people in my server pedophiles and zoophiles. They did not like that, and so they retaliated. If you didn't want my server to attack you, you shouldn't have acted the way you did. So after Mythical made that Twitter thread, Psycho responded to it in a community post rather vaguely, as well as casually threatening to make the entire context public, as we both knew that Mythical's thread was just omitting important context. This is where we lead up to a few days ago, when Mythical decided to make a YouTube video covering psychonautic therapy. The video is titled, "Psychonautic Therapy Caught Lying." Now, to put it quite bluntly, Mythical's video is 5 minutes worth of nothing, as he is pretty much repeating the Twitter thread that he made, just with more elaboration. Most of the video is dedicated to calling out Psycho for quote-unquote downplaying sexual harassment, when that's not what he did. The first huge blunder that Mythical made in this video was opening it up with the fact that anything he said in the server means nothing because he is only joking, he doesn't actually mean anything he says.
But she really does try and downplay this whole situation by showing a screenshot of me jokingly calling someone a monkey and jokingly calling people a pedophile, which I think is kind of funny that he uses this, because if you know me well, then you know that I mean nothing behind what I say when I say this type of shit, because with the whole calling people monkey thing, that has no racist context behind it. I just say it for the sake of saying shit, and it means nothing whatsoever. And it's the exact same thing with the whole calling people pedophiles, because you know, that's my humor. My humor is to say some dumb shit.
This can easily be circled back to the server members that quote-unquote sexually harassed him. If Mythical did not actually mean it when he called people pedophiles, then that applies to Athen, as she wasn't being serious at all when making these comments towards you. After all, they're just jokes, right? This is the biggest problem when it comes to his claims that he was being sexually harassed. Again, if he wants to argue that that's what happened, then he also needs to acknowledge that what he did towards my server members was slander and defamation. You cannot say that one is a joke and the other isn't, because it's a double standard. It's also incredibly dishonest of Mythical to say that he did not mean anything with what he said in the server, when once again, he elaborated in the server that he was not trying to be funny. As established earlier, he is omitting important context. I am skipping the other point he's making because it's literally just him repeating himself from the Twitter thread where he thinks we called him out for using slurs when that never happened. I mean, he even showed Psycho's comment that literally opens up with, "It wasn't so much about the slurs or being homophobic." I guess that part of the comment went straight over his head. So yeah, let's move on.
Well anyways, next point. So this guy really did try and downplay the whole situation by saying this. He basically tries to downplay it by saying that I was only called Pookie and now I'm claiming it's sexual harassment, when that is not true whatsoever. I legit have screenshots of me feeling uncomfortable with the things being said to me, even to the point where I told them to stop, but they kept on going. And it isn't just the word Pookie, it was a lot more sexual comments.
So remember when Mythical tried denying that Athen calling him Pookie was a thing that made him genuinely uncomfortable? One of his screenshots is quite literally Athen calling him Booby Bear, which is not sexual harassment. This would be the equivalent of getting super mad because one of your friends called you baby girl. This is downright pathetic. And again, if he's trying to argue that this is sexual harassment, it circles back to him when he calls people pedophiles.
And the fact that you're lying about the situation now is just beyond sad. But hey, let me explain something to you, buddy. Sexual harassment is when someone is feeling uncomfortable and tells the other person to stop making sexual comments about them, and if they don't stop, that's when the harassment begins. And it isn't just any harassment, it's sexual harassment due to the sexual comments being made. Alright, anyways, so I proved that I told these people to stop and I did not give them any consent to make sexual comments about me. I proved that the comments were considered sexual. So what does that mean? It means it's sexual harassment.
Mythical is once again omitting important context in order to make it out like we are the perpetrators. He is purposefully leaving out the fact that he started it by calling people pedophiles, as well as tripling down on it, and also the fact that this isn't the first time he's done this. Remember, him and LT Beast harassed Sergey out of nowhere and started calling him a pedophile, which made Sergey uncomfortable and paranoid to the point he threatened to harm himself. We are not the ones that started this, Mythical started it. He also insists that what my server members did was sexual harassment, when 1, that is completely overblown compared to what he did, and 2, if what they did was sexual harassment, then what he did was slander. Oh, and 3, he is making himself out like he did absolutely nothing wrong, and that we are the bad guys, when that is exactly what he complained about in the anonymous person's DMs. If Mythical kept this exact same sentiment that both sides did something wrong, he would actually have an argument, but he has instead changed his standpoint and is claiming that he did absolutely nothing wrong. If that doesn't scream fake person or a liar to you, I don't know what will.
And the fact that I need to explain what sexual harassment is to a man that's almost 30 years old is worrying. Like, what the fuck? But to be fair, you are just an old man who idolizes drugs and all that, who is jobless, and of course is broke. So basically you serve no purpose to society.
It's quite ironic that you are belittling Psycho for being jobless at his age when you're only around 20 years old. Plus, you don't even know the context as to why he's jobless in the first place, and bringing up his personal life in a YouTube video to belittle him has got to be the most desperate shit you've ever done. It's a really low blow to bring this up about him when it's completely irrelevant on the topic. We've known personal things about you, but we're not bringing any of those up because unlike you, we're not pieces of shit. So bringing up Psycho's personal life doesn't do anything for you other than make you look bad.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I know that he's probably going to respond to this video by making a video of his own, or a tweet, or even a community post. But whatever he does, I'm not even going to respond anyway because I don't need to. He's not really much of a threat.
Well, it's certainly telling that when Psycho and I inevitably expose you of omitting important context and lying about everything, you're not even going to respond. Like, damn, I'm sure everyone is still going to believe you when you stay silent after our videos revealing actual context and the truth comes out. You really are a coward.
I can already predict his response. All he's gonna do is just show some screenshots of me being an asshole, especially with that one message where I basically hope that one of my sexual harassers gets swatted, which of course I actually don't mean at all. It was just me saying it in the heat of the moment because I got pissed off. But hey man, it happens to everyone.
Well, buddy, not only is he gonna respond, I am responding as well. Crazy, I know, I'm defending my husband. But oversimplifying what our responses would be by just saying we'll show screenshots of you being an asshole is a pretty clear sign of hubris and ego. We are showing screenshots that highlight hypocrisy, immaturity, and the fact you omitted context to make yourself look better. And honestly, you've just made yourself the perfect case of a liar and a manipulator with a ton of examples that we were able to pull up. It's also quite telling that you'd bring up just one example of something you may have said, and followed it up with saying that you didn't actually mean anything by it, and you can't apply that to anything that you claim to be sexual harassment. It's rules for thee, but not for me. It's perfectly fine that you can call people pedophiles left and right with no thought behind it, but the second people fight back against your stupid and sick sense of humor, that's when you get your panties in a wad. Also, trying to paint the narrative that Psycho was never going to settle the drama in your Twitter thread when he was more than willing to help you out in the end. Trying to paint a narrative that you were attacked first and sexually harassed by server members when you started it by calling people pedophiles not just once, not twice, but many many times, even going as far as to use someone's suicidal breakdown against them the moment you are called out. You also say one thing in someone's DMs about how you acknowledged how both sides could be in the wrong, and then turn and say an entirely different thing in a YouTube video months later after the drama subsided. You decided to make this video months after it happened, and you still had contact with me months after the fact. You also tried using Thunderstruck being banned from my private server as a joke against me, acting like you cared for Thunderstruck's well-being, when in reality, you were in on the bit the moment it happened, and are only using it against me now out of spite. Fuck off. You're a liar and a fake person. Like, in all honesty, after all of these events have taken place, after all this time, I now realize that Mythical was never truly my friend. Picking on Sean the Legend was just a win-win situation for him from the very start. He never personally helped me, he only used me for content. And in the time we actually needed him, he told us to suck it up and shut up about it. Mythical has no integrity, he has no spine, and he only cares about his own benefit. Based on everything I've shown, it's become very clear that Mythical is a liar, a manipulator, and an insensitive douche. Anything he does is a win. He can do absolutely nothing wrong. He's Mythical, everyone's favorite YouTuber. Except, no one really knows who he is, nor do they care to. That is precisely why, when you search up his username on the search bar, you get Good Mythical Morning instead, which is honestly something that 90% of people would rather watch than him at this point. There is absolutely no redeeming qualities that I can see within Mythical at this point. He is a lost cause, and with everything he's pulled thus far, he should stay that way. Good night.